My name is Lolo Puzzlo, and this is Media Delta. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Media Delta. We got a interesting thing this week. Kind of something that doesn't get talked about, as maybe we'll find out for reasons. But it was one of those interesting kind of things in that it is an example of an extremely early TV show that is based on video games. In particular, this is a cartoon cartoon series about, in particular, classic arcade games. Unlike a lot of, you think of like a show like Pac-Man or Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, based on a single game. This is not the case. We're talking about Saturday's Supercade, which was a series that ran from 1983 to 1984, that was put out by Ruby Spears Productions, and lasted 2 seasons. And it is anthology of cartoon episodes based on various arcade games with an asterisk, because for some reason Pitfall is also in here. But in particular, the games that are featured in Saturday Supercade are Frogger, Donkey Kong, Pitfall, Q*bert, Donkey Kong Jr., Kangaroo, and Space Ace. I put together a kind of selection of episodes that kind of featured what I could find available to me when I looked up Saturday Supercade on YouTube. Which, unfortunately, that means we did not see anything that was based on Space Ace or Kangaroo. I have a feeling we did not miss much, as you can already tell just from this, how we're probably going to feel on this. So I was not the only one who watched this, so please introduce yourselves in alphabetical order, and not the order that Discord puts you in.
Hi, I'm Axe, and I'm not goddamn second.
I'm Julio, and I'm in first place, no matter what anyone says.
I'm Torpid Typist, and I'm here for only the finest quality rips, baby.
Yeah, this being an old show that I'm pretty sure the rights for it are in rights hell. The only way we could find this on YouTube was some not so great quality rips.
The VHS rips, you're getting the best you can get out of that.
I would say that you could probably get it even better. This is like calling it a VHS rip is kind of like putting it like halfway. Those were some really bad rips.
Well, some of them were okay, and some were worse than others.
For some reason,
especially
only
the
Q*bert.
Q*bert one.
Only Q*bert was okay. All the others were mush.
Yeah. And yeah. There really isn't, and also the thing with it is, most Saturday morning cartoons, especially one from the 80s, there's no continuity. So you can just watch episodes at your leisure if you'd want to, for some reason. So that's pretty much all I really have to say. There's not, it's also, can't really, it's Ruby Spears that put it out. But there's also so many directors, and it changes drastically from series to series, and even it seems like episode to episode. If you look at
even within the same fucking game franchise, they're massively different.
Yeah, if you go to the Saturday Supercade Wikipedia list and look at the written by section, there's at least 20 names on this list for something that had. It had a few. It did have quite a few episodes, but still, there is no consistency between anything in the series.
In fact, there's one episode of Donkey Kong that's written by 5 people.
These episodes are 11 minutes long too. But yeah, I think we should just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and just go down in order and just say what we thought about this. Axe, what did you think about this?
Fucking sucked. Let me kind of expand on that a little, but the ultimately short version of what I'm about to say is this fucking sucks. It's an anthology series, and it's there's a lot of different anthology series out there. One that springs to mind, Are You Afraid of the Dark, which apparently got a remake and nobody told me about. But as an anthology series, it's extremely bad. The stories it tells, even I would like to give it, a little bit of leeway because of how long the episodes are, but you can still tell a decent story in like 10 minutes. I've watched like Hulu. Hulu does occasionally these really super short 5 to 10 minute horror movies, and they usually tell some decent stories in like 5 to 10 minutes. But in like the entire span of each episode, nothing really happens. The plot, like I guess there's a plot there, but I just like started, my eyes would glaze over, and I just stopped paying attention after a while. Even like taking into account that these are really bad rips, the animation sucks. None of it's interesting. None of it's really well done. The voice acting is crap. And like it's just weird them trying to pull these stories out of these random, like Qbert. Why would you go with Qbert when there's like Robotron? Hey, you could do this good couple of stories about fucking Robotron. There's a property that feeds a pretty good number of stories about people being captured by robots, and then the heroes stops the robots. There you go. But we get these stories about Qbert going to some kind of,
I mean,
it's like, what was it? It was a fucking sports event.
Yeah, it was the disc derby.
yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck does it have to do with jumping from square to square?
That's kind of the issue, is that they weren't really working with the video game titles, so to speak. Instead, they were just really standard cartoon plots with the characters inserted into the roles.
It's
Exactly.
very much the exact same thing that Pac-Man did.
Yeah.
Like, we gave Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog a lot of shit. And after watching this, I'm going to kind of take some of that back, because I feel Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog actually had better continuity and cohesiveness of its stories than this entire mess. Don't get me wrong, it's still not great, but like this kind of, I feel like, puts a whole new light on some of the other stuff we've looked at, because this is really bad on just like a number of levels. I didn't watch all of them. I'm gonna just be honest. I don't even know if any of us actually did.
I certainly didn't.
I think Torpid mentioned that you didn't watch them all, did you?
Yeah, no, it tapped out
I
after.
fucking stopped where Lolo stopped.
Okay.
I did actually watch them all.
Okay. All right. But like,
Right.
normally, and y'all know, normally I try to give a thing all the way through. I watched Zelda all the way through twice to give it the benefit of the doubt. This was so just uninteresting, unenjoyable, unremarkable, and such bad use of the properties that I watched them after work on Monday, like up to, I think, the Monkey Ghost one, or
Yeah, it was the Donkey Kong Jr. episode.
yeah, I didn't even watch that. Like, that was the episode I was to watch next, and I just didn't care anymore after that, because it sucks. It's not interesting to watch. It's not interesting to listen to, and it just doesn't make any good use of the properties it's given.
Yeah. The thing I'll say about the selection of episode, or the selection of like what they are covering, like which ones they chose to do, these were all very like popular to, like, these are all popular. Like, if you look at the time frame, 83 to 84, this would have been right around the time, Dragon's Lair and Space Ace would have been pretty huge. So that would have been a very modern thing. Kangaroo is interesting in that I think that's one of those games that is like actually pretty popular at the time, but just did not like have the lasting, like it didn't have like the legacy that a lot of these other ones did. Qbert was hugely popular at the time. Like it was like, I kind of think that the popularity of Qbert is actually something that isn't quite as recognized as, like, say something as like obviously Donkey Kong Jr. Because if you think about those at the time, this is 83, 84. This is pre Super Mario Brothers. So this would have been like Mario was just another character at the time. He wasn't Mario. It was just another dude who jumped. Same with like Pitfall. Pitfall obviously is like it. Actually, Pitfall's the weird one out. I'd say Kangaroo is probably the weirdest one out in terms of like a legacy thing. But Pitfall is still kind of weird to be in here because it's not an arcade game, and all these other ones are arcade games.
And like I know we're kind of like half-heartedly, jokingly putting off doing it. We're gonna do it eventually once we hit the right properties. I actually, from my recollections of it, think Captain N is better than this collection of cartoons.
I would agree with that actually.
And Captain N being not very good, it's still better done than these like that. We need to really drive home that just how bad these cartoons felt to watch.
So one thing, once that stupid car goes away. So one thing I'll just go ahead and say it now because it's something that I don't think got picked up because one, I don't know how much, Pitfall lore that people are knowledgeable of or anything. But there's kind of like, if you think about all these like video game cartoon kind of things, they all tend to get something wrong about the games that they're portraying. This one's a weird case in that it is simultaneously very faithful to the games and also not at the same time. Q*bert's a good example. So Q*bert, you had like, obviously it's a weird like 50s greaser kind of story, which doesn't make any sense with Q*bert because Q*bert is like one of the few arcade, like there is no story to Q*bert. Q*bert is Q*bert, and he just jumps around the things trying to, get all the tiles to match. That's all Q*bert is. But in the show, it had the sample of when Q*bert fell in the thing. It had the little swear bubble that came up, and it played the little thing from the arcade. And also he jumped around on the top of the cars to do the thing that you did in the game. It had the sound effect too. Didn't make sense, but he did it. Also, Pitfall had all the characters from Pitfall 2, which we have not actually covered on Retro and Crapsty yet. But yeah, because everyone's like, why is this weird mountain lion, or why is this weird cat, this weird snagglepuss that is
That's
with
exactly
them?
what I was thinking when I saw it. Like, why is Snagglepuss in this?
Yeah, it was a dinosaur snagglepuss with an eye patch.
Which, I mean, if you played Pitfall 2, one of the first things you see in Pitfall 2 is Quicklaw, who is the Pitfall Harry's family pet, who shows up, is one of the things that one of the people you're supposed to rescue in Pitfall 2, as well as Rhonda, his niece, who both of those show up in the show. Also in the Pitfall, it's kind of, the rip did not help this, but if you paid attention to the music was also a rendition of the Pitfall 2 theme.
Also, I just want to say real quick, going back to the cat, Quicklaw, it's really weird to me how they just treat him like absolute shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they definitely do. Also, he has a interesting voice.
Yeah.
So there's a character named Rhonda, huh?
Yes.
Wonder if she'll help me get her out of my heart.
She's a
He's
child.
a goddamn child.
Yeah, so I got a new friend.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, that was pretty much.
Yeah. So
That was at least my middle segue in that.
I don't want it to sound like I'm exaggerating, for comedic effect. Like, oh, look how angry he is. No, I wasn't angry about it. It's just not good.
No,
It's
that is perfectly agreeable.
It's bad. It's boring.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point, Torpid. Normally with these things, I try to pay attention to them because, I'd like to give a good and fair, analysis of it or, just, review of it. This, I could not pay attention to it. The next episode would start, and I'd watch it for a bit, and then I'm on Twitter again. It's boring.
So aggressively by the books.
And nothing really does happen. When something happens, it's not actually anything really happening. It's just the plot moved along. It's
Half
like
the time
it's the boring parts of the Mega Man cartoon.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
much of the time I was just waiting for the episode to end, and I'm like, oh wait, it hasn't been 10 minutes yet. Are you kidding me? Or like,
Yeah, that was like every episode was like, oh Jesus Christ, we're only like 3 minutes in. And it felt like
Yeah.
this thing, these all felt like 30-minute episodes for these 11-minute
so
bits.
I know for me, and I know it's the one that Lolo quit at as well, which was these, excuse me, sorry, shit in my throat. The second Donkey Kong,
The Donkey
which,
Kong Jr. episode, yeah.
yeah, which was basically, it read like Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo, and it was the worst.
Yes, that like the very first time Donkey Kong Jr. does his little catchphrase, my brain went, "Fuck, Scrappy Dude, I don't
It's
want
fucking
this."
Scrappy. Well, he didn't spoke like Scrappy Doo. He sounded exactly like him too.
Yeah,
And then,
So just a little bit of like, because that Donkey Kong Jr. Was Frank Welker. So that was, I mean, Frank Welker is
Frank,
A lot of
I'll voice him
characters.
if you'll pay me, Welker.
who
Frank.
Fred. It's
it's
Yeah,
Fred.
a
it's Fred.
live-in Welker.
Yeah, Fred from Scooby Doo and
Yeah,
Yeah,
Fred
a lot
Treasure.
of animals.
Frank, I'll do it if you pay me, Welker.
Who was Scrappy Doo?
Frank,
voiced
I'll
by?
buy that for $1 Welker.
Frank,
Frank-
every animal in Hollywood.
That's
Walker.
Peter. I'd buy that for $1 Weller.
Yeah,
But yeah.
no. It was just like it was a fucking shitty Scooby Doo episode. The entire thing, like even the main character was basically just Shaggy, just with a haircut. It was awful. And so yeah, as I was saying, like I'd be like, okay, this bit's up, it's over. And it immediately cuts to another fucking bit with the same characters doing the same bit because it was still the same episode. I had just been hoping so hard that the full like 11 minutes were up when it finished its first part.
Mm.
Because it was
And just-
basically you had the Shaggy and Scrappy Doo thing, and they had this whole little plot line, and then it ends, and you're like, okay, it's been the 11 minutes, let's do a different game. And then cut to them doing more of that actually, because it's the 11 minutes aren't up. It just feels like forever.
Yeah. And like obviously we're mentioning how some of the characters very clearly are cribbing off of other more popular characters. Scrappy Doo is technically in a way more popular than these things, but like that's kind of it. None of the characters, like if the character did have any personality, it was personality that was stolen from another character from a different cartoon series, like another Hanna-Barbera property, and everybody else just didn't have any kind of like standout personality. They were literally just these characters thrown in to say some lines, push the plot along, and then end the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's really like, yeah, these are really cookie cutter characters.
It's like I was watching the first Donkey Kong one. And that one I just like fucking ended up having Gorilla for Sale stuck in my head the whole damn time because all I could think of was Magilla Gorilla.
Like going back to Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, 'cause I feel like that's the closest parallel in terms of like it was very much in its own way. It was an anthology-ish show, just with the same characters but completely different plot lines. But we kind of didn't like it because of that lack of continuity, that lack of cohesion, and the fact that it didn't seem like stuff was happening in the episode, or too much was happening and you couldn't follow it. But like, if you were to take out the Sonic characters, I don't feel like you could put in different characters and still keep what that show is doing. This, you could take all these characters out and replace them with like stock characters from like just stock characters you have in the cutting room, and it wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I actually agree 100%. If you were
Yep.
drawing that line, is Sonic would not be the same without the Sonic characters, but these you could just drop completely and not miss anything.
Which is why, like, going in hindsight, I feel like going a little less harsh on that particular Sonic, just because, look at this mess.
It's also another parallel to it, because I feel like this is actually pretty much as direct of parallel as you can get, because I think if I remember correctly, I believe these two shows were actually like put back to back. Or maybe I was thinking of something. No, it's something else actually. But anyway, Pac-Man. 1982 Pac-Man is also another situation where it's better about it because there are some elements that make it Pac-Man. Like there are some mention the Pac pellets and like the ghosts and all that. But really, that show's just the Flintstones. And this is even worse about that because this is like at least the Flintstones you have a solid rock foundation. But
the bedrock foundation, you would
yes,
say, yeah.
I didn't want to say that,
But you should have.
I wish it were a Fraggle Rock situation.
Same, but that's not this.
But yeah.
But yes, the point is like that has a solid foundation, whereas this, it's like, yeah, I keep on forgetting that this isn't Hanna-Barbera. Like this feels like the worst of Hanna-Barbera.
Okay, so to be fair, Ruby Spears is, for all intents and purposes, Hanna-Barbera.
It is, but
Basically.
also I keep on forgetting that.
Yeah, like you need to remember that they have their roots in Hanna-Barbera.
This
So
is
let's
true.
not
I
pretend
suppose.
they're above that. They may be generally a bit higher quality, but at the end of the day,
Also, I
you know
keep
where
on.
they come from.
I just realized in my head now that I am confusing Ruby Spears Rankin Bass, which that is a different thing altogether.
Wow!
But yeah, like honestly, these cartoons feel like Hanna-Barbera's rejected cartoons.
Yes.
No, they don't. They feel like Hanna-Barbera's cartoons, but the
I don't
ones
know,
you don't remember.
Okay,
It-
I do suffer from heavy nostalgia goggles for a lot of things, but I still think Hanna-Barbera cartoons, as bad as they could be, are still better than all of these.
It is, now that I think about it, especially like the stuff that if you watch Boomerang at a very particular hour that they would show, or they used to show, there is some stuff from like the 60s that is probably this caliber. But this is also the
bad.
80s.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, let's not pretend here that Hanna-Barbera's better than they are. It's just there are ones of theirs that have withstood the test of time, unlike this.
Yes.
That's really all I have to really add about it. I might chime in.
Like
I have
we
anything
even
else.
know Ruby Spears is capable of better too, but that's years
like
on down
Mega
the
Man.
line as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like Mega Man.
That's what I mean. Yeah. It's like I don't know. This is just nothing but disappointment the whole way down. Like the fucking what is it? The fan service is like surface level at best. And otherwise the actual plots are really, really, really generic cartoon garbage.
It's on the
Like-
level of being mentioned in an episode of Big Bang Theory.
Oh dear.
Yeah. It's just it's not good. There's nothing really good about this. And like that's even ignoring the rips, which the rips are bad, but that's not shocking. This is not exactly the most popular show.
Yep.
And like even for things that are somewhat popular, it can sometimes be hard getting rips. Like
Yeah.
once again, I mentioned it here in the Discord, but like I follow a service called fucking
Retro Crush?
Retro Crush on Twitter, and it's always interesting because they're owned by a digital rights company called Discotech Media. It's always interesting seeing like every so often like requests go out like, hey, do you guys have tapes of this episode, recordings, hobbyist recordings? Hey, we'll pay you if you've got tapes of these episodes, because like even in a professional setting, a lot of this shit's lost to time.
Yeah.
So like having lost really bad quality rips is just inevitable, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I won't hold the quality of the rips against the property itself. I can look past that and, try to look at the product as it was intending to be viewed.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's still a shit pile of a show though.
This is
It's garbage.
this is actually because this also reminds me of another show that we will have to do at some other time. Which, if I remember correctly, it is on YouTube as well, and I believe the rips are actually much better. But the show is The Power Team, also known as Acclaims Masters, which was basically a show that starred the main characters of several games that were published by Acclaim that get together and solve crime. characters like Kuros from Wizards and Warriors, Max Force from Narc, Quirk from the Game Boy game Quirk, one of the dudes from Arch Rivals. Also,
guessing
also the Bigfoot monster truck.
I'm gonna guess that this show is not held to high acclaim.
I mean, it's held to about as much claim as claim deserves.
Oh, claim.
Oh, yes.
Crazy.
Anyway.
nerds.
Also, Coolio, we haven't heard much from you. What did you think about this?
Well, I kind of like it, but I like it in the same way that I like Pac-Man. Because I like it because it's this 80s or 90s brand kind of garbage that I grew up with. And sometimes it's nice to just turn this stuff on and just kind of stop thinking. So, oh, sorry. Did I break this? Anyway. Also, just as a note, if you hear any fireworks on my end, we are recording this on Canada Day, so there got to be fireworks. I apologize. But yeah, this is not a good show. It's been covered pretty much thoroughly already. It's not a good show. It's very much a cash-in type of thing, but it's kind of nice to see what it's kind of nice to see what these companies like Ruby Spears will do given a property that doesn't really have much of a story to it, and see what kind of story they're going to make. It's not going to be any good, but yeah. Also, I think it's
money and it'll suck anyone's dick. Go on.
Yeah, more or less. I think it's the first time that we see Mario as a cartoon character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also Pauline.
Also, Pauline. Well, I don't think Pauline ever
sucked.
shows up in a cartoon before. Like after this, it's the only time that Pauline shows up, I think.
Yep.
Also, one thing that I do kind of want to kind of show here is the last episode that was on the Media Delta playlist, Junior Meets Kid Dynamo. I feel like that is a very deliberate spin-off hook.
Huh.
I know that Torpo and Lola, you didn't watch that one. Axe, did you?
I did not watch it all the way through. I just
Yeah,
I didn't watch
I
it all
watched
the way
like
through.
4 or 5 episodes before I had to do a stream, and then I just didn't watch them anymore.
Yeah, I think
Fair enough.
we all tapped out after the Gorilla Ghost.
Yeah,
So
well,
I'm
why
the
don't
only
you tell
one
us
who
more
made it
about
through the entire thing.
Yeah, tell us more about it though. I need to hear how bad it got.
Well, Junior Meets Kid Dynamo is basically that, like, they're establishing this character is Kid Dynamo. He's like 10 years old. He's traveling around with a 10-year-old dog. They both have superpowers because of this weird blue dust that blew in from outer space or something. When I didn't catch the entire thing because I was kind of tuning in and out, but it's laid out in such a way that I'm pretty sure they were trying to spin off into this new series, but it never happened.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, that was at least kind of interesting to notice at the very least. And I don't think there's a whole lot more that I want to point out, but there is one thing that I will, and it's one thing that I pointed out in the Media Delta chat. There is this YouTube channel called Anoverse, who basically they're born from the Anatet experiment, where people would go in, and there are these crappy videos, and people would put annotations all over them, kind of riff at MST3K style. And currently Anoverse is covering episode by episode Saturday Supercade.
Oh, Jesus.
Also,
So, yes.
I did find out why the Qbert riffs were so good. Apparently, just Qbert was put out on DVD.
What?
Weird.
Wow. Okay.
The best of Cubert. Didn't even have the entire series, just some of them.
Just some of the 19 episodes, which I'm pretty sure would have fit on no
Yes,
more than
17 of
discs.
19.
17 of 19, so they just
No,
dropped 2 of them.
This DVD set was released November 5th or November 3rd of 2015.
Oh wow,
What? What the fuck?
that's impressive.
No, seriously, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, here it is.
Who is going to be thinking of this?
Wait,
literally 30 years later.
Okay, hopefully this is not okay. I kind of want this to be true, but it listed as a DVD-R, and I would really love it if it came in a case and it was just a verbatim DVD-R that they wrote Hubert on in Sharpie. Which, by the way, you can buy this for $22.
All I'm reminded
But
of
why
now
would
is
you
that
want to?
time that I went to a fucking an arcade full of redemption games, and I got a DVD of Blue Gender from the middle of the fucking show, and I still don't know why it was there.
Oh, you want to know the weird, oddest thing I've been given? My brother used to work at a cinema, and one day he just gave me a full reel of Deep Blue Sea.
Huh.
Interesting.
I know Lolo actually has a similar experience to mine, but with fuck, what was it?
Oh, are you talking about Trigun?
Trigon, yeah.
No, that wasn't me finding it. That was just me being an idiot and not reading the back of the box.
Oh.
Because I bought that at a GameStop when they were selling DVDs.
Oh, okay. No,
So
I
I
was
just
talking about my time with.
Yeah. So to explain that situation, I bought because I was like, oh, Trigun. I've heard a lot of things about this. I'll just buy a DVD. So I just bought one because I just saw it. And I don't think it had episode numbers on the back. So I just went and bought a DVD of it. It turns out it was the last DVD of the show.
God
The
damn it!
first-
You started
the
with Wolfwood,
first-
didn't you?
Yeah, the first episode on that DVD was a thing happening to a major character. which
I think we can say what it is. It's been like
Yeah,
what,
there's no
10,
Trigun.
20
There's no
20
Trigun video game.
decades.
Yeah, it's when the Wolfwood died. When Wolfwood
Yeah.
dies. Yeah.
Yeah. So once again, I wonder if I still have it. I think I might. I have a DVD of just 2 episodes. I think it's like 2 or 3 episodes of Blue Gender, which is a dog shit fucking anime, anti-science anime. Real fucking terrible. I remember watching on Adult Swim as a kid and being like, "Wow, this is terrible." Says a lot right there. But yeah, so one time when I was a teen, like late teens, we went down to, I think, Florida for a vacation, and just near the place we were staying was one of those like little like redemption arcades, like all those little redemption games. And I figured out the best ways to get tickets for shits and giggles. So I had all these tickets now. I just had a shitload of tickets. I'm like, what should I buy? And I look at the wall, and I notice that for some reason, like one of the 2 most expensive things is just this DVD of Blue Gender. And I'm like, okay, I'll get that. And the dude just sitting at the desk just looks at me confused and then goes gets it, hands it to me. I'm like, cool. I wonder what this is. And I just popped it in, and all of a sudden it's just in the middle of the fucking series. I have no clue where. Still have no clue where it is.
You know what? I think I also have a random ass disc of Blue Gender, just one disc from a set at some point.
Yeah, it's fucking great. It's a terrible show.
I have the first disc of Blue Dragon on the Xbox 360
But not
because
any of the other ones.
none of the other ones, because somebody just left it there when I worked at Game Crazy.
Like all you need to do is you need to hear Eternity one time, and that's all you need to do with Blue Dragon. Anyway,
My
I
point
think-
is that this is the vibe that Hubert thing is giving me.
yes.
But yeah, so if you actually want to seek out, for whatever reason, Saturday Supercade, Anaverse might be the way to do it, because then at least you'll get other people riffing on the show.
Or you
Yes.
can watch it in its raw ass format on YouTube and regret your life choices.
Yep.
Or you can make really good life choices. Just don't bother watching it.
I mean, that's also valid. Also,
Um,
I was trying to figure out if you had played Kangaroo Lolo, and yes, you did play
I did,
Kangaroo,
yes.
ranked at 8.
Yeah, I think Kangaroo was actually one of the first things that was in one of the boxes. When I
And
started the
episode
mystery box, I believe
232.
I believe Kangaroo was one of those.
It might have been, yeah.
Um, anyway, is that pretty much what you wanted to say?
I think so, yeah.
Trevor, you already said a whole lot. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yo, fuck this show though. Like, fuck it. Like, unironically, it sucks real bad.
All right.
That's about it. Also, once, okay, so I do actually have something to add, and it is how at odds the fucking art directors seem to be with each other.
I was going to talk about our good pal Stanley.
Okay, so it's not just Stanley though in that episode, who looks
Yeah.
fucking weird out of place. Donkey Kong does. They're fucking like Pauline is also like a third different style. Everyone's a different style. Nothing is consistent or coherent in that episode. It's so bad.
Yeah, and the Gardener and Mario, both much different.
All I remember is knockoff Snagglepuss because it's just it just was the
God,
most
yes,
thing that
that
stood out.
image it's so bad. Just the quality in this is abysmal.
Yeah, it's real bad.
I mean, I
Yeah,
guess giving it some props with Mario, they didn't lean into like super awful Italian stereotypical voice.
He wasn't the super awful Italian stereotypical character yet.
Yeah. He wasn't
But
that.
please, do you have a shot of Pauline? Because I need you to post that as well as a shot of
Pauline's
Donkey Kong.
Oh, here. I mean, here.
Because,
And
like,
then that.
yeah, look at that.
Nah, no. No.
And then that.
And then there's Donkey Kong.
It's not
There's
great.
nothing consistent about the art in that episode, but like in general, the show suffers from that problem.
The one thing I will definitely say about that, also, here's another screenshot of it that even looks even worse. I do want to give props to this. At least it does recognize Donkey Kong 3.
Yes.
Because that game is better than most people give it credit for. Yeah. Yes.
This sucks.
Anyone else have any last thoughts?
I appreciate really quick, just in the recording peanut gallery, Tyrion going, Donkey Kong at least does match the art on the arcade cabinet, more or less.
I mean, Stanley looks like Stanley does also. It just doesn't look like anything else in this cartoon. Anyway.
Which I guess lends even further to the just quick swapping of characters with like entire setups.
Yeah.
Because like he didn't need to be there. If he wasn't there, actually, she would look even more like in place with everything. I don't know. It's frustrating, but it's I fucking hate this show. I hate it.
All right. I think we need to rank this. So we're gonna rank this using a normal 1 to 21 scale with 3 extras if needed, which I don't think we'll do, but we'll see. With 1 being absolute mastercraft, 21 being complete garbage, not even fun, ironically, to watch. So, Axe, what's your number?
All right. So because this is very close to Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog in terms of structure and content, I'm gonna kind of head this off at the pass. It can't be. I would not call this a fever dream, because there is no solid foundation, and nothing elevates this up. It's garbage from the bottom to the top, and at no point ever manages to overcome that in any way. It is not an otherworldly vision because I mean it's not disjointed enough to not be able to follow and figure out what it is. And finally, it is not a fascinating nightmare because it's not fascinating and it doesn't circle back around to good. It just stays
boring.
Bad. Yeah.
It's just boring.
In my personal opinion, it cannot be any of those 3, and it can only be 21.
All right. Koyo.
I disagree with 21. It's not So it's not offensively terrible, it's just bad. I would say 18 or 19.
So I was gonna say, like, I disagree with it having to be offensively terrible, though. It doesn't need to be offensively terrible to be a 21.
Agree.
It just means it's not worth watching,
Yeah.
which is different.
I mean, it doesn't. I
Yeah,
know we have Devil shit. What was
Megami
Tensei.
Tensei, Digital Devil Saga, and The Wizard in 21, which both of those are offensively bad.
Yeah.
It does. I will say that it doesn't, in fact, have to be.
Yeah.
Well, it should also say,
I recognize what you guys are saying. That's perfectly fine. If you want to say 21, I'm not going to argue. Still, I'm going to say that this at least does have some value as something that either someone can just kind of turn off their brains and veg, or some people can get together and riff, which is exactly what Aniverse is doing. So I'm going to stick with 18 to 19.
all right,
That's
Torpo.
fair.
This is a hard one for me. Because as I said, it's not offensively bad. It's fucking boring, though. It is not. How should I put it? So first off, I would definitely watch The Legend of Zelda over this. So that's at a 20 at a minimum. That is my ceiling already, and I need to establish this from the outset.
Yep.
Let's see. Panzer Dragoon was fucking incomprehensible, but also shorter.
45 minutes long.
Yeah. Also, things kept happening somehow, and I still don't understand what happened, though.
I think that was a problem with it.
Yeah.
That's my point, though. And, like, Doom at least had the redeeming bit at the end, which was kind of neat, I guess. The dumb fucking first-person segment, which is still terrible, but at least amusingly so.
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion, this has nothing like that to back it up. It's kind of, it doesn't look good, doesn't watch good, doesn't sound good. Just nothing about it's really good or worthwhile. And like, yeah, it's not offensive like The Wizard, or, that special level of dog shit that Megaten is, because that is fucking incomprehensible as well, but also really weird and shitty. But it's like, I still would never watch this if it wasn't for this.
Yeah. So
It is a thing that I don't think personally is worth watching, but like, I could understand putting it at like a 21 if you just want to draw at a 20 there, but like, I don't know, 2021 is fine by me.
Yep. That was also what I was going to say. Is I think 2020. I do not think that this is better at the same level as The Legend of Zelda. Legend of Zelda was bad, but at least that I feel
I
was
got a chuckle out of it like once.
that
It can be
also I
entertaining.
feel it can be entertaining, but also competently from a production standpoint that is at least consistent enough that I mean,
You're not wrong.
animation errors aside, that was at least consistent enough in I'm trying to think of the word. I don't want to say original enough, but that was what it was trying to do. You cannot replace the characters in Legend of Zelda and have it make as much sense as you can replace the characters in Saturday Supercade and still have it make sense. And that is my argument for why I feel like this is worse than Legend of Zelda.
And not to get like into
Okay.
what we've done last year, where we got like super hardcore into the definitions of things. How I feel about 21 is basically no redeeming factors, period. Just there's nothing that can be gleaned from it that one could consider entertaining or funny or anything really positive. Whereas 20, you could say like, oh well, like Doom the movie. If you didn't have the FPS segment, it'd be a 21 because there's literally nothing in there that even in any way can be seen as redeemable. But because it had that FPS section, that bumped it to a 20 because it gave it something to hold on to. Saturday Supercade has nothing to hold on to.
Yeah. Because I feel like also to go not to like attack this point, but if the thing about it is just to put something on in the background, I would say unless for some reason the only thing you have access to is Saturday Supercade, then I would say that is. But you could literally put on pretty much anything else other than this show.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I still stand by the point that this is still very riffable.
Right,
Which
but
I'd
I mean,
imagine, even at 20, I'd imagine you could still riff it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could riff on anything in the 21 category and say like Retro Rank Rhapsody, for example. I just don't think that, in my opinion, I don't feel riffability is something that I would personally consider a metric for placing.
Gonna
I mean,
say,
I-
look at where like
Hmm.
MST3K's entire fucking foundation is.
Yeah,
In
Yeah, I mean, I
unwatchable
guess
garbage.
because
I
that I can see why you would say that, seeing as that's not necessarily an intended feature of the show, right?
So one thing that I personally think when I put in the 21, the thing that I'm thinking of, especially the last three categories, is kind of how much does it bite back when you are trying to watch it? Because you could like think about something that's like 19, like Legend of Zelda. It's pretty bad. Like it's gonna hurt. Well, it's not gonna hurt a little bit, but it's like it's not gonna be a pleasant experience. Like there's gonna be things that just don't feel right. The more you go down is the harsher that feels. Like the wizard has a whole lot of things that are just wrong with it, that just it doesn't, in the riffability just doesn't make it that much better. Whereas you got stuff like Doom. Doom is stupid, but like there's a lot of dumb stuff in Doom, but it's still kind of riffable in that. And even like Panzer Dragoon, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense why it's happening, but you can still like it's not as bad. Whereas something like Megami Tensei, nothing happens. There is a lot of things that happen on screen that are just like, I don't want to say like, I mean there are stuff that you could consider offensive, but it's like sensorily offensive also.
and not to be kind of bullying about the riffability point, but I need to point out that Mr. Science Theater 3000 did a riff of a German production of Hamlet, and it is one of the most unwatchable things, even with the riffs. So even if something is riffable, it still can be a 21.
Mhm.
And that's just my argument on that.
Yeah, I could also agree with that.
I mean, I'm not gonna I don't have a whole lot of other points to bring up to try to bring this up. If you're gonna put it at 21, put it at 21. It's not a big deal. I realize I tend to be the devil's advocate when I'm on this, so.
I mean, I do think that there could be an argument for putting this at 20 though.
It's fine, Coolio. I appreciate it. I vote with my heart as well.
Mm-hmm. Like, nothing against your vote.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
it's
definitely,
100%
yeah.
valid.
Anyway, I mean, I'm gonna stick with what I said, and you guys do whatever.
So Tyrion, once again, really quick to address the
peanut
gallery.
gallery.
The text
Tyrion
chat.
said, "I would argue if it's unwatchable that in that case it isn't riffable." The point of 21 isn't that it's unwatchable; it's that it's not worth watching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like it bite like of course there's pretty much very little that is literally unwatchable. But it in the magnitude of it, the way that I always like as I mentioned is the it fights back attitude of it. Like this is going to be a rough ride.
But I think we can mostly agree that the range is 20 to 21
Yes.
with one dissenting voice.
Yes.
First tries to take my top spot, and now this bullshit.
Let's
How's
see.
it feel to not be the contrarian for once?
I'm gonna fucking call your station just so you watch.
I mean, was it last episode where I was the like was it no, it was Fern Gully where I was the one that actually ended up being the harshest on it.
Look, man, I can't be too angry when Tim Curry is involved.
I like Ferngully.
What did
You know what this doesn't have? Tim Curry.
Yeah,
This
it doesn't
doesn't
have
have
Tim Curry being sexy.
It doesn't have Tim Curry, but then again, neither of those. I mean, Fern Gully's what? Like, that ended up being like 9. This is 20 to 21. We were dealing with The Rock, whoever the hell was in Panzer Dragoon, Fred Savage.
Yeah, wanna know what none of those have? Tim Curry.
Yeah, Tim
Yeah.
Curry's in none of those movies.
You know what?
Coincidence?
If we're going to go by who's in this thing, this has Frank Welker, so my floor is 20. No,
That is. It does have Frank Welker, but he doesn't also, unless there's an episode of unless there's an episode of Donkey Kong, which they encounter, you don't get to hear him say treasure, which feels on Frank Welker. There is actually like a point where.
Problem is, like, Frank Welker has a fucking wide breadth of shit he's been in.
And I will also say there is also a number of other actors of note, Soupy Sales being one of them, who played Donkey Kong. Also,
yeah,
a number of voice actors from the era.
And Frank Welker appearing in this is no different than Jennifer Aniston getting her career start in the movie Leprechaun.
Or was it Kim? Was it Kim Basinger that was Cool World?
I think so.
Also Nancy Cartwright was in this.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who doesn't recognize the name might recognize.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Bert
it's Lisa Simpson.
The
Where's
Simpsons.
Bart Simpson?
It's Bart.
It's Bart Simpson.
Just in case anyone at home might not recognize the name Nancy Cartwright, just offhand.
You know what? Since it's not okay. Okay, give me a sec.
We're going on so many tangents I can actually hear Torpid vibrating to get to
It says a lot about how much we think about this fucking show.
Okay, how about this? Axe picks heads or tails?
Oh my god, heads.
Head.
God damn it, Torpa.
Not heads.
Oh.
That's twice as good.
Yes!
Dang.
All right. Okay, and I put that. Yes, it's hard to Supercade this episode 79. 19. I almost did 2 episodes of this, which
I would have to come to Wisconsin and kick your ass.
Yes, and
if you did
Same
that.
though.
Appreciate
I
it.
could pick you up on the way there.
Yeah, no, fucking carpool and just like curb stomp low. Do like a drive-by curb stomp, just like boom, and then drive right out of there.
By the way, one thing that I wasn't sure on with this show is, does it have host segments, or was that more of a 90s thing?
I think that was more of a 90s thing.
Okay.
Let's see what else we got. Okay. So yes, episode 79 came out in 1993. Ruby Spears TV kids show. I'm putting the money symbol because this is based on.
Oh,
based on
definitely.
properties.
100% money symbol.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Is there anything we want to call out in music, charm, cinematography? No, wait. Okay. Music, charm, cinematography, storytelling, action, and art.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down to
Thumbs
every
down
possible
for
category.
all of that.
You know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to copy the things that were in Megami Tensei because I feel like that's appropriate.
Well, I would say under Nay, it was bland with a capital blah.
Oh, yeah. This
Oh,
might just
100% oatmeal, dude.
Everything
gonna-
yeah,
Yeah,
three oat.
let's
No, you
just
gotta put the earth in between the 2 oatmeals.
there.
A beautiful sandwich.
Perfect.
All right. I think
Fabled
that's
third emoji.
I think that's good for Saturday Supercade.
Can we get a charm for finally it's over and put that
Yeah,
under
I was gonna
yay?
say the yay is I never need to watch it ever again.
Yeah. And just put that on all the 21s.
The best part is, like, we don't even need content warnings is the weird thing. Like, it doesn't do anything that is offensive. It's just bad
It's
and
offensive to the
boring.
senses. That's
Yeah.
I mean, the most offensive thing it does is it has greasers.
Which
Yeah.
that's Anyway.
Don't worry, folks. It's coming back. We'll bring it back. Don't worry.
No. Tunnel Snake's rule.
Torpid comes out in Tunnel Snake's jacket with a huge
Yeah,
pompadour.
when the greases come back, we talk about the outsiders.
Oh my god. I haven't thought about that in fucking forever. Stay golden, pony boy.
There's someone I know. I don't know who it is. I can't remember who it was on my head. talking about the Outsiders just sends them into a rage. I forgot who it was.
Speaking of sending people into a rage, I wanted to point out the music in the show was done by a certain Haim Saban.
Oh. Oh yeah, it was Carnival gets pissed off when I mentioned the
Yeah.
Outsiders.
Yes.
It would be.
I might have to poke the bear at one point because I am very curious.
All right.
Carnival is a creature made entirely of passions.
Action against Saban.
Yes. All right. I think that's good enough for Saturday Supercade. Axe, what do you want to plug?
Autistic Cell Advocacy Network. Pride Month has passed at the time of this recording, but always please do show your support for individuals in the LGBT plus community.
It's Wrath Month.
It is Wrath Month. Also, just an aside thing. Remember we did Phantasmagoria 2 some while back. The actor who played Curtis Craig has started a series of videos going over the history of Phantasmagoria 2, as well as touching on how it, as a game, affected the LGBT plus community. You can find them on Twitter at let me see, here it is, at Convos Curtis, and they have a ton of links to all the other stuff. I actually had a story of mine spoken out in the latest episode 3, but please give them a look at, because not only is it an interesting look at one of the more interesting and the better of the Phantasmagoria games, but a huge piece of LGBT plus history.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this on YouTube, or if you're looking to your podcast, I've put a link to the YouTube channel with the Conversations with Curtis channel. So yeah, that is. And also, I've seen a little bit of that Conversation with Curtis, and it's a fascinating series.
It's really good.
Cool, yeah.
So yeah, you can catch my radio show / podcast Square Wave Symphony, your home for video games, chiptunes, and all things weird and geeky. That's available at lowbiasgaming.net/SquareSim, and also on Twitter at SquareSim, SYM. It's currently on interseason break, but I've been doing the news of the weird every week, and the next season should start on July 16th. Also, I will briefly point out that I've started streaming again. That's at twitch.tv/CoolioMZX.
All right, Turbo.
I mean, there's the usual, obviously, twitch.tv/torpidtypist and at torpidtypist on Twitter. And what I would like to plug, not actually a hole this time, but LGBTQ plus Wrath Month, everyone. Stay angry.
Yeah.
Yes. And just wait, someday it will be LGBTQ plus month, and then we'll all win.
I also just kind of want to chime in and say that I appreciate Coolio saying, telling everybody how Canadian they are by saying Z instead of Z.
Yeah, I just want to say,
Hey, it is
Coolio,
Canada Day.
like, for me, I always associate getting fireworks with, like, driving up to Maine to get the good illegal fireworks. But then when you said, like, Canadians have fireworks too, it's like, so do Canadians just drive down to Maine to get the illegal fireworks?
I'm pretty sure they're illegal here.
I'm pretty sure Canadians invented gunpowder at some point. Anyway, that is going to do it for Saturday Supercade. Next episode, we are actually starting our 2-part series on something that came out around the same time and also deals with classic video games. But I can already tell you, because it's something that I actually have very high fondness for, is actually kind of decent. And it's actually kind of surprising how it seems like this early production actually got, things right that I feel like even modern or later video game shows got wrong. We're talking about Starcade, which is a game show that is based on classic video games.
You've been wanting to do this for a long fucking time.
Yeah, this is
This is something we have discussed since, like, near the beginning of Media Delta.
Yeah,
but it kept not getting voted for in the polls, and now finally here we are.
Yeah, I had to hide what it was to
we got to change the experiment so the mics will give us different results.
Yes. So yeah, we're gonna start our 2-part look at Starcade.
Yay!
And with that, Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Happy Canada Day. I realize it's past now, but happy Canada Day. Happy Independence Day.
4 days to Freedom Day.
Whoa!
No, 3 days to Freedom Day. Shit. Fuck!
Bye. If you would like to see the list in which we have ranked every single thing we've done for Media Delta, you can go to r3.ldp.life in your browser. If you would like to watch the sister show that determines what could show up on Media Delta, that's Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can watch it live on Twitch at twitch.tv/LoloToPuzzlo or on YouTube at youtube.ldp.life. If you would like to discuss this episode with others, please join our Discord server by going to discord.ldp.life in your browser, which should give you a link. Thank you again for listening.